Greetings, Thelemites. It's October 11th, a little after almost 1:10 in the afternoon. I had a free day today, so I thought I would catch up on some of the Inktober drawings that I'm a little bit behind on. I have about 4 to do in order to catch up completely, so I thought I'd just do some on camera here. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one, maybe 20-30 minutes at most, so they're not going to be the most amazing things ever, but we'll see how far we get with this. I think I figured out what was wrong with the windows last time. I'm using the Chrome extension Loom to do the recordings because for whatever reason I can't get OBS to record video. I can record audio just fine. If anybody knows what's up with that, please let me know. But in using Loom, apparently I have to capture the entire screen, not just one program, in order for it to have any of these windows showing up. We'll see if that's actually the case. As I said, I have 4 drawings to do, so we'll just do something really quick and see how it turns out. There we go. Got my pumpkin spice coffee with coconut milk all ready to go. A little bit of a festive drink today. So I think what I'm going to do, since I love those little lanterns so much, is I'll probably just do at least one where it's something along those lines. Let's see, do we want to do a round one or a square one? Maybe we could do one of each. Let's see how that works out. So I probably shouldn't be drinking anything with caffeine in it before I do the recordings, because I had looked this up. Apparently, drinking caffeine and eating certain other types of food gives you a great deal of mucus, so you wind up coughing and clearing your throat a lot, which is not particularly good for video quality, but it helps me stay awake and focused, so I'll probably just cut out anything along those lines. It's raining outside at the moment. Up here in New Jersey, we're sort of getting the tail end of the Hurricane Michael storm that's coming through. I actually really like dark and stormy weather, particularly when it's a little bit cool like this in the fall. I don't know, there's just something really nice about the atmosphere. It's very dark and epic. Reminds me of those sort of old-time horror movies like Vincent Price. So I've been noticing that my BitChute account has been getting a lot more views than my YouTube account, which is kind of interesting considering my YouTube account is the one where I normally post everything to Twitter. But I'm just happy to see that people are taking an interest in what I'm doing. Let's do the top here. So I'm kind of doing a little fake perspective here. And again, not using reference. I would not recommend that. If you actually care about the outcome of whatever it is you're working on, definitely use reference. I'm just doing this because I'm pressed for time. Again, normally I'd be listening to music, but something else that I found out is that the voice modulator that I use, if there's any kind of speaking that's done in, say, a video or other program, it'll actually modulate that as well, at least when I'm recording. When I do it live, such as when I'm talking to people on Discord, it doesn't seem to necessarily have that problem. I'm not really sure why that is. I have it set to 34% flow at the moment. So you're getting to see a little bit, it's not laying down full black, so it's kind of creating this nice little fake lighting effect as I'm going. Oops. Actually, seeing that little mistake there gave me an idea for something I might try in a minute. Let's bring this back a little bit before we do that. Make a little thing on top here. So I've been seeing a number of houses around town that have all different styles of these. I recently bought some rattan lanterns for my own house doing Halloween decoration. So what I'm going to do here is kind of cheat a little bit. And this is one of the advantages of working digitally. So you can do stuff like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the design over on the side here and then transpose it so that I can get the proportions a little bit more accurate and just use Photoshop's perspective tools to skew it into place. If I really wanted to be anal about it, I could just do one corner of it and then duplicate it and rotate it. But this should suffice. Again, the whole point of doing Inktober isn't necessarily to come up with anything amazing so much as to just force yourself to get in the habit of drawing, to flex your creativity muscles, practice your skills, figure out things, use it as your first pancake, get the bad work out of the way. Just take that, there be a cut, and Command J to duplicate it, just so we have a backup. I'm going to need two of them anyway. Well, in fact, let me do that, just so it's a little bit easier. There we go. This is a neat little trick that you can use if you have sort of complex patterns that you're making in perspective. You can just draw them out as you saw me here, and then position them in place as you like, and touch them up afterwards. I believe Tyler Eldon was the one that showed me this. He's a concept artist. You can search his work. He's got some pretty amazing stuff. He does this technique. Okay. And then I'm just going to enlarge this a little bit. You can imagine how painstaking it would be to try and do all that by hand. So if you have, say, a brick wall that has like a repeating pattern on it that you need the bricks evenly spaced, or flooring, or wood paneling, siding, anything like that, it's a really good technique for generating that quickly, efficiently, and accurately. use a little bit more. Okay, so just drop that down a little bit so those line up. That looks pretty good. And then I can just take this and modify it individually. So now what I'm going to do on a new layer is just kind of refine these edges a little bit. Bring that down even more. Just to give it a bit more shape. I'm kind of losing the shape a little bit. So in theory, what I could have done is just done the entire shape like this in profile and then skewed it that way as well, and that would have worked just as well. That same technique that you just saw me do. And I kind of force myself to stop in another 5 minutes here. Again, just because I have so many more to get to. So I don't know if any of you who's watching this currently ever did any sort of live recording or whatever. If you have, I'm sure you probably understand that when you are recording stuff, if you don't have a machine that's particularly well suited for it, you can get some serious lag, even if you don't have particularly many programs open and running at the same time. So another style of lantern that I've seen pretty frequently and that I really like is sort of the rounded ones. I may do one of those as well. Maybe not, we'll see. Sharpen up the edges a little bit so it doesn't look so muddy. Although this does have kind of a nice sumi-y look to it. Okay. Just a little bit more refinement on the top here. So there is one feature in Photoshop that I haven't used too much, but which looks like it's really cool and has a lot of potential, is the 3D effect. You can use it for rotations and extrusions and things like that. You can just go on YouTube and Google what that's all about. Notice again I'm using that same technique of following the curvature of the object here. Okay. I'm not especially liking the lighting down on here, so we'll do a little bit more touch up. Again, just following that curve. The way that we were taught to think of this in art school is that you imagine that you're a little ant and you're walking around the surface of the object. And you can kind of follow the trail around the shape. You don't want to view it as just straight on like this. That makes it look flat. You want it to actually have depth to it. I want to touch it with a little light. Which side do we want the light coming from? I guess if this lantern were actually lit, the light would be coming from inside. Just touch a few spots here to give it a little bit of shape. And then we'll call it at that. Again, just following the form. Just divide up some of these planes here. Not too much. Push it back a little bit. Again, just pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling, pushing and pulling. All right, good enough for government. So I'm just going to save that. And I'll bring you back when that's done. So as I said before, I'm going to try something a little bit different with this one. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make a little tiny thumbnail. So the idea I had before when I was talking about when I made that mistake was possibly putting like a crow or something on top of there. So I'm just going to do a little quick sketch of some kind of bird over here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge it and go back over top of it and refine it a little bit more. I don't know if it'll necessarily be a crow. I don't want to look it up at the moment to see what a crow actually looks like, so we're just going to make something up. Maybe even have two of them. Let's see. I'll draw this one off to the side because I can always move it back over. Maybe have one go up and one go down. Create sort of a nice little dynamic symmetry between them. Maybe they're on a wire. Maybe we want them on a tree or something instead. something more like this. And have branches come out. Can probably salvage that. Yeah, let's do that. So before I make it too big, I'm just going to put it maybe at about half size and do a little bit more refinement on this before we continue. Just because it's easier to do so at this stage. So one thing that, again, you want to use reference whenever possible, but one thing that you can do, a little trick for making trees and plants and such look halfway decent if you're making them up from memory, is to keep in mind that they follow sort of a Fibonacci sequence. 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and so forth, progression in terms of their growth. Obviously, if it's like an old defunct tree that's rotting and has leaves and sticks and branches falling off of it, it'll be an exception to that, but just in general, it's something to keep in mind. I don't want to go over too much of this coloration here. That'll wind up becoming like a texture, more or less. Maybe this will be sort of the inside of the tree where it's broken. And this will have to be wider because, of course, trees don't generally grow this kind of a shape. If anything, they grow in more of this kind of a shape. I guess if it's like a balabo tree or something like that, it might be different. So with the roots, you don't generally see this type of formation in nature. Normally what you'll see is like angles. And it won't necessarily be like a curve like that. There'll be sort of a gentle slope to it. Make something a little more interesting here. Maybe have one behind. Again, just to indicate some depth so it doesn't look too flat. So part of the reason why I started out with mid-tone gray is because it's going to make whatever lines that I have here darker. And then if I want to go back and lighten something up, I can just touch it with the white and it'll make it really pop out. I don't even necessarily have to use pure white. In fact, it's probably better if you don't, unless you're doing something particularly shiny. more branches behind here. Having them overlap like this just gives it a bit more depth. So it looks like it's rotating in three-dimensional space. And then what I'm going to do is get rid of this line. And we'll be able to place our little bird friends. Sort of hide anything that we don't particularly like. Maybe flip them around. And then just do something similar with this guy. In fact, we can even have him flying up and around. Okay. Just group all these birds together. So now, this isn't even really much of anything at this point. Again, I've only spent maybe 20 minutes on it. At this point, I think what I'm going to do just to finish this off is to take one of the textured brushes that I have here. Let's see if we can find a decent one. Oh yeah, so something else that I could have done. I have these brushes by a guy by the name of JJ Canvas. You can just go and make little branches that way. In fact, let's go ahead and just cheat a little bit here. Again, when you're doing concept art and design at a professional level, it's okay to cheat and use various tools. There's no shame in doing so. I always keep forgetting that I have these. I think if I had started with it from the beginning, it probably would have been a lot simpler. See, you can see what I was talking about before with the sort of Fibonacci sequence. Yeah, I really should have started with these from the beginning. So one nice feature of actually reusing these is it creates a sense of harmony because obviously they all belong together because they're basically all the same thing. But by cleverly manipulating it like I'm doing here, you can sort of hide that effect a little bit. So the only people that'll know are the people that are watching me do this live. And I think he has another one. Yeah, the JJ Canvas set is really good. I would highly recommend it for anybody that's looking to do concept art. This is actually a really good brush as well, the veining feather. Um, See, you too can create great art if you just have the right brushes. No, I'm kidding, it's a lot more than just that. But it does help having the right tools. So what I can do is, because I know about how the Fibonacci sequence works, I can pick a strategic location on this branch and decide that I want another branch to come out of that. And so it makes it look like a far more complex structure. And then if I just go in and delete some of these other ones, that'll hide it even better. And you can play and modify these. Alright, that's enough of that. At this point, we may as well just continue on and do that for the whole thing. Why not, right? If we're going to go through all the effort of cheating, we may as well hide the fact that we're cheating. If anybody's particularly disappointed at the way that I do this, again, know that most artists lie. Even if I were to draw this completely by hand, there are certain things that I would be using, certain techniques that you wouldn't necessarily know about. Because all artists are liars. So I'm going to go back into my brushes, and I'm going to use where is it? The veining feathering. There's another one in here that, oh yeah, so here's one of the other branch brushes. Get that one, that one, that one. Little trees. think that's the one I'm looking for. Okay, so just shrink that down. And try and simulate a barky texture. Something else that you can do if you want to cheat and you're pressed for time is you can go find a stock photo of some kind of texture, like on CG textures, and just overlay that, and that can still pretty good. So to sort of give an example of what I was talking about, I went and got this bark texture here and just desaturated it and clipped it to the layer beneath it with a hard light setting, and you can see it gives a textured effect. I can stretch it out a little bit, maybe not quite that much. Something about like there. And then if I were to go and darken it a little bit, you can see that just suggests texture a little bit. And I can just duplicate that around. So I'm going to take a little break here. I've been going for about an hour and a half. I need to check on the recording, see how that's turning out. And I'll be back in a little bit.